Over the past 2 weeks, the credit card world has changed dramatically. What with these high annual fee premium credit cards all revamping and changing, like the Chase Sapphire Reserve going up to a $795 annual fee and promoting a whole swath of new credits and benefits that come along with the card, the Platinum card dedicating a new refresh coming in October, or even the Venture X card losing the most beneficial benefit that came on that card that everybody loved, that was lounge access for authorized users and for guests, has now been taken away. So I think these changes all happening in this short amount of time have really thrown us through the ringer. And now all of these premium credit cards have been spawning a lot of different conversations. Are the annual fees even worth it anymore? Are these high annual fees able to be justified? Do these credits benefit me or do they not? And can I even justify this card anymore when they remove certain benefits that we love? And well, I think all these conversations are good and I think they're a lot of fun and I like to participate in them because I'm a lover of these high annual fee cards. I've had them for many, many years. But one thing I have changed in the last year is I have actually canceled pretty much all of my high annual fee premium credit cards. In fact, even the mid-tier credit cards I've canceled themselves as well because of one big thing that I've learned and I've been actively changing in my overall credit card travel strategy over the past really just few months that I think might actually shift your mindset over the course of this video, that you don't actually need high annual fee premium credit cards at all. At all. And I understand that could be very controversial, but I wanted to break this down. The three main parts that people usually mention when they talk about justifying high annual fee cards and exactly why you don't necessarily need those things, or you can get all of those same things for way cheaper or completely for free. So, starting off first is one thing that I actually like to call the opportunity cost. Now, firstly, let's talk annual fees. They're very high, right? We know that. The Amex Platinum card is going to be refreshed. A lot of people talk about it's going to go to a $995 annual fee. Nobody really knows, but I think we're assuming close to 1,000. The Chase Sapphire Reserve has just been revamped and is just now introduced an annual fee of $795 with a swath of new credits. Venture X is $395. We have a lot of new premium cards dropping in the market. They're going to hit that $500 to $700 price range, it seems like. When people talk about these high annual fees, the next thing they mention is, well, I get all these different credits that offset the annual fee, right? And hopefully all of these credits are for things that we can easily justify and we're already paying for, or at least can benefit from in the first place. And don't get me wrong, over the years, I've owned the Platinum card for like over 4 years. I eventually canceled it, but during that time, I really loved it, and I loved all the lessons that that card taught me. However, one thing I've been toying with the last few months is one major issue that I've done in my credit card journey that I think most people do, and I don't think we realize that it's a mistake until it's too late. Now, firstly, one thing that I learned is that I kept these annual fee cards open for way, way too long. Amex Platinum card, I kept it open for about 4 years, paying that 550 and then 695, 695, 695 annual fee, all while just trying to reap the benefits of what I would consider now the small money, the credits that we actually get associated with these cards. I'm talking about the hotel credit, maybe digital entertainment credit, maybe talking airline incidental fee credit, something like that. Smaller dollar amounts that you're essentially just prepaying for by getting the card. Now, the opportunity cost lies in your actual travel strategy alone. One thing that I found over the years is that I think most people pick the ecosystem first and pick their cards first, and then they use all of those points that they earned in that one ecosystem to figure out their travels for the future. And usually, what ends up happening is you eventually go to figure out what trip you want to go on, and usually you don't have the right currency to get you there, or at least get you there in the best way possible. And so, one thing I've been toying with the last few months is just doing the opposite. Doing the opposite and actually letting the vacation, letting the destination, the planes that you want to fly on or the hotels you want to stay in the destination that you want, and letting that, the destination, dictate the cards that you get. In an example in my own life recently, I found that I wanted to fly to Japan. So I found a couple of flights I could fly to there, but I wanted to figure out the best way back. And after talking to some creators and watching some videos, I realized that I actually would really love to fly home on Japan Airlines business class. And so I wanted that. And what did I do? I jumped on seats.aero, you can see right here, and I realized that flight is very, very common. Just like a couple weeks out, with American Airlines miles, you can get business class one way back home from Japan to America for 60,000 American Airlines miles each. Like I said, business class Japan Airlines. The total is about 120,000 American Airlines miles. So you guys may have seen, what did I do recently? Well, I applied for two separate cards in the last couple of months. I applied for the Citi Business A Advantage card that actually gave me 75,000 American Airlines miles after spending $5,000 in the first 5 months. So I already just hit that. I'm basically about to hit that bonus now. And I also applied for the AA Advantage Barclays card that gave me 70,000 miles after my first purchase. And so with those two cards alone, I earned about 145,000 miles, aka enough to have some left over after booking this return flight from Japan. But I never would have actually gotten these cards if I didn't realize that I wanted to book that flight in the first place, thus letting the destination and letting the flights and the hotels dictate which cards I get next. And what I want to relate this to is that both of these cards, right, a $0 annual fee for the first year, then 99 thereafter, and then the Barclays card, they actually offer a $0 annual fee for the first year, $99 after. So actually no risk, no money out of pocket for the first year. If you don't like the card after a year, you could always cancel. But at least for $0 out of pocket for the first year, you're going to be able to get an amazing flight that's worth thousands and thousands of dollars. And even if these did charge you an annual fee for the first year, let's say it did charge you 99 for each of them. Okay, so you spend about $200 to get this value back. Well, now you just spent $200, but you just guaranteed yourself two business class tickets on a flight that's like $3,000 to $5,000 each. Now, personally, what I've been toying with is instead of paying for this $795 annual fee Sapphire Reserve or a $695 annual fee Platinum that's very likely going up to closer to $1,000 by the end of the year, and focusing on all of the smaller money, like I mentioned, the credits that are associated with the card that can be beneficial, but I can just convert all of that annual fee that I would be paying. Let's call it $800 for the reserve now. And I can get 8 different new credit cards that have their own welcome offers that all have a $99 annual fee, right? Because 8 new cards times $99 annual fee is about $800. It's actually a little bit cheaper than the $795 reserve. So for the same annual fee that I could be worrying about, maybe just like $500 to $800 worth of credits worth that I have to kind of think about, right? I have to worry about it. Instead, I can kind of shift my thinking to where it's like, okay, I know I want to fly Japan and maybe I know I want to stay in a particular hotel. Okay, which 2 or 3 cards could I get that maybe have annual fees? But can guarantee me those specific trips and guarantee me that life-changing vacation, which I think is way more powerful than letting the card kind of dictate my lifestyle and which credits to use and when they use them and when am I going to use them. And again, I'm not a hater of credits and stuff. I actually did a whole video recently talking about why I actually think some of these credits are really beneficial and how it's made me enjoy some of the fancier things in life. One thing I just found though is that you can actually get all those things and more pretty much completely for free in a lot of cases. Now, the second thing people mention when they talk about, oh, I love my premium credit cards is they give you access to particular things, whether that be giving you access to lounges or even to certain programs. I'll give you a couple of examples. If we're talking the Amex Platinum card, people usually mention a couple of things, myself included. I love the $200 hotel credit that's on it, and it's given me the best experiences of my life. But it gives you access to the fine hotels and resorts collection that no one else has access to unless you pay for the $700 card. Sapphire Reserve has recently introduced its own $500 credit towards the Edit collection, which is essentially its own fine hotels and resorts program minus the late checkout guarantee to 4 p.m. So the exact same program. But one thing that I found over time where a lot of people are like, oh, this is exclusive, this is super luxurious. I need these cards to have access to these luxurious programs. Well, one thing that I found over time is actually, no, you don't. In fact, any MasterCard World Elite credit card, meaning like a Built MasterCard, a Freedom Flex, a Strata, any of these credit cards, talk about the no annual fee ones, I should say, they give you access to the MasterCard Luxury Hotel Program. That gives you access to, you guessed it, the exact same benefits that you would get either via Chase's Edit Collection, Amex's FHR, or even the Capital One Premier Collection. The only difference is, I guess, that late checkout of 4 p.m. with FHR, but all the other programs don't have that. I don't know how they do it, but Amex is powerful. So you can get that completely on a no annual fee card. I guess the only difference is you have to pay cash for that. In the portals, you can technically pay with your points, but you're kind of losing money on the points if you're redeeming them in that way anyway. So I don't really think anyone should or would be doing that, but I digress. I mean, heck, even Visa has their own program, even though they only give you like a $25 credit instead of 100. But these programs are available and they're not unique to all these cardholders. They make it seem like it's exclusive because they have their name slapped on it, but you can get it completely for free if that's what you care about. Also, the next thing that's mentioned is that the Platinum card has access to the largest swath of airport lounges across the globe. Over the years, I have literally been in every single Delta Sky Club in the Atlanta airport. I've been to the Centurion lounges in many, many different states. I have loved all these lounges. My home airport has an escape lounge, and I've loved these lounges over the years. However, I just had a recent trip where I went to 5 different airports. I'm talking my home airport of Charlotte. I went to London Heathrow. I went to the Athens airport, then Amsterdam, and then back to Atlanta. And I had some interesting experiences on this trip, and kind of why I wanted to make this video as well is that I really truly think after going through the highest level of lounge access, I'm talking Centurion, Delta Sky Clubs, those ones, and then going on this trip where I didn't have a platinum card, I have no high annual fee premium credit cards, I canceled them all. The only way I have access to cards right now is because my good friend CalBNG has added me as an authorized user on his VentureX, and my good friend Key also added me as an authorized user on her Ritz-Carlton credit card. Now, what that does is it gives me my own Priority Pass lounge access. Now, that is special to me because I'm a freeloader and I was able to make these friends who are very generous. Not everybody is as much as a freeloader as me or has as good as friends as I do. I understand that. However, one experience that I learned is that I just went through all these airports with my Priority Pass card for the first time ever. And I went to, in my home airport, the club in Charlotte because we had about a couple hours before our flight. And what we realized is that, well, it's okay. It's all right. It was actually not too bad. It was a cool place to hang out, but the food made us feel sick. And I understand that's one of those lounges. Also, in London Heathrow, we went to a Plaza Premium Lounge, which was actually more closely similar to a Delta Sky Club in Atlanta. Not like the really nice ones, but the slightly lower end ones. And the food was a little bit better, but again, it just didn't really, I just didn't care. And so when I went to the Athens airport and the Amsterdam airport, because our layovers and or just the time we got to the airport was so short, literally when we were flying home from Athens, we just went to the airport within an hour of having to actually fly out. So maybe about 45 minutes from boarding. And then from Amsterdam, I only had like a 50-minute connection. So I didn't have much time in these airports. And so for that Athens airport, we ended up sleeping in a little bit longer and we went to the airport a little bit later. So we got more rest and we got through the airport no problem whatsoever. Got some spanakopita, some spinach pie from the airport, and we sat in the terminal. We had an amazing time. We sat there for like an hour, and it was amazing. Like even less than an hour, and it was amazing. And I liked that we didn't have to rush. Whereas in the past, we used to rush, get out early, and get to the airport 3 hours early because I got to get to my lounge. But after speaking to my wife over the last couple of days, just like really trying to solidify my thinking here, I asked her, I was like, did you really care about any of the lounge access? Like now going through this experience and like getting to the airport later and just hanging out in the terminal before the flight, getting to the flight faster instead of waiting so many hours. And honestly, she said to me, she was like, well, I can see the value in it if you have a long layover, which is what I agree with. Like if you can't help it and you have like a 3 to 5 hour layover, of course, lounge access is amazing. But she said, like, it's not worth getting to the airport early. It's really not. She said, oh, absolutely every single time now, I would much rather get to the airport later, board the plane sooner, and we could sleep in a little bit later and not rush as much. On top of that, she also found the same thing that I found, which is we've been eating extremely healthy lately. And this is, going to be span for every household, but we kind of went all in on like the all meat kind of diet. So basically, we just have steak and we have burgers and we have chopped meat and rice. We just cycle those 3 things and we always feel amazing on it. When we go to these lounges, and even at the highest level of lounges, I'm not just talking Priority Pass Club at Charlotte that has trash food. I'm talking about Centurion as well. She was like, it was okay, but it still didn't make me feel that great. So I started thinking to myself, I was like, okay, so even at the highest level of lounge access, it still was like just a place that we were sitting down for a few hours that we didn't really need to have in the first place. And I get it, it's controversial. Like I said, the caveat is if you have a long layover, it makes sense. But for us personally, we would much rather, and from now on, we are only going to get to the airport much later, much, much later. Granted, there's not like crazy traffic, crazy lines, but if we can get there within an hour, we had no trouble in all 5 of these airports getting through within an hour of passport control, customs, getting through security, TSA, all these different things. It took half hour to get through all of them, and no problem at every hour of the day in the airports. And so I think lounges for me personally are just largely overrated now. And in the past on video, I used to say like I could, I could never live without this. And now having done this experience with just Priority Pass, I'm like, I don't really care. And in my mind, I have again, I'm lucky because I have the friends with the authorized user, but in my mind, if I really cared about Priority Pass, I might just get something like the US Bank Altitude Connect. It's a card that has no annual fee, and it comes with 4 complimentary passes to Priority Pass every single year. And maybe you and your wife can both get one of these cards. You get 8 free passes. And there's also some other US Bank cards that give you 8 passes and what have you. But I think you get my point. And in my mind, it's like if you want a safety net for really long layovers and you just want to hang out in some Priority Pass lounges, then you could just get a couple of those cards, or maybe you can get a couple of good friends, and then you can have some PP access all throughout the world. Not even to mention, when you book business class tickets, typically, if the airport has them, you'll get access to its own complimentary airport lounge as well without needing any credit cards whatsoever. Like specifically, I have my business class Emirates flight to Italy coming up very, very soon. That actually gives me access to the Emirates business class lounge at JFK. Also, when we booked that Japan Airlines business class from Narita, we actually have access to the Sakura Lounge, which is a very, very nice lounge as well. And again, all the more reason why you can get more credit cards for more business class flights to give you more access to lounges if you really need them. And you don't need these high-end credit cards to get that done. And that's exactly what I found. Like, I went to them, I thought they were okay, but honestly, we hung out in the middle of London Heathrow for like an hour, and then we went to a Plaza Premium for an hour. Both were about the same to us. So maybe I'm just a little bit jaded, but I just think they're largely overrated. I don't think they're as crazy as people mention. And like I said, I've been to every single Delta Sky Club in Atlanta. I've been to the Centurion lounges all throughout America. I've been in these lounges, and I know how bad the overcrowding problem can actually be. Every comment I see on some of these videos is now, I had to wait an hour. I got rejected. I never got to go in. I decided to give up. I'm canceling my card because there's no lounge access. Like, I hear you. I personally never had to deal with that. I never had to wait more than 15 minutes. But I understand the overcrowding problem. So I'm like, all the more reason to just save that $800 annual fee and just get to the airport a little bit later. I don't know. Maybe I'm jaded, maybe I'm controversial, but that's just how I feel right now, having done this experience. Another thing that I thought was interesting on the Sapphire Reserve changes. Some people talk about, well, I need these cards because I want my hotel status. So with the Sapphire Reserve, they introduced the IHG One Rewards Platinum Elite status. Now, people said, oh, this is pretty cool, until a couple people in the comments actually mentioned that this IHG Platinum status is not the same as the typical one we know and love. Typically, Platinum status with IHG gives you 4th night free. So you pay for 3 nights on points, the 4th night is free, like Hilton 5th night free. However, you can only get access to the 4th night free benefit, not just if you have Platinum Elite status, but you have to actually own the IHG card for $99 annual fee. That's right, you have to own the card to not only give you the Platinum Elite status, but to allow you to get the 4th night free, which I thought was really, really crazy that the Sapphire Reserve, that doesn't make it possible, that you have to have the card. I didn't know that. Some people mentioned that in a few comments on a few different videos. So I was like, damn, so that status is really not worth anything on this card at all. However, one status that I've always talked up over the years and I thought was extremely powerful on the Platinum card is you get free Hilton Honors Gold status. I've always said it's worth its weight in gold. You can easily pay the annual fee on a Platinum card with just Gold status alone if you stayed at enough Hiltons. However, again, in my mind, if I cared that much about Hilton Gold status, I would just go and pick up a Hilton Surpass card. I mean, literally right now, there is a zero risk for the first year annual fee of $0. That's right, $0 annual fee for the first year. Then 150 every year after. I just picked this card up a few months ago. You guys saw. I was able to pick up the offer of 130,000 Hilton Honors points and a free night certificate on top of that, where I literally just booked with the 130K welcome offer and a free night certificate 2 nights at this hotel, the Sawaka in Kyoto, Japan. You can see it's an amazing property. It has its own like ancient temple on the property itself. It's in the Gion district. It's an amazing property that I'm really excited to go to. That has a cash price of 281,000 yen per night, aka about $2,000 USD every single night. So a $4,000 stay, an amazing hotel in a foreign country, just because I decided to maybe save the annual fee of $795 on my Platinum card, decided to opt into a Surpass for the first year where it could be zero risk, $0, or just 150 like I paid, got my Hilton Gold status that I cared about, and I guaranteed 2 nights at an amazing hotel. And on top of that, it has its own $200 Hilton credit, which, it's not terribly hard to use. Heck, even as small as people talk about Hertz presidential status with the Venture X card, right? It was going away, people hated it, then it came back forever, and they were like, "Oh, amazing, we're amazing again." That also is a benefit you can get completely for free with any Mastercard World Elite credit card. Literally, you can get presidential Hertz status if you just go on Messenger with Hertz, message your Hertz number, and just show proof of your World Elite Mastercard, like Build Mastercard, Freedom Flex, what have you, and they will give you Hertz presidential status. Like I literally did this not that long ago. And so I guess what I'm really driving at is like, if we're talking about the annual fees, that's a high opportunity cost that you're focusing on the small money, the credits, to not base it off your lifestyle necessarily. You kind of have to mold yourself to that, fit your lifestyle to the card versus like the card fitting your lifestyle, at least in my mind. And so you're worrying about the small money instead of just taking that $800, saving it, and just applying for many, many different cards. And I get it if you're somebody who has 50 plus credit cards and there's no other welcome offers to get, cool. This is not the video for you. Or if you're somebody who's a beginner, like 0 to 5 credit cards, okay, this is also not for you. I'm talking about everybody in between, like at my stage where I have 25 credit cards. My wife has, 12 or 13, something like that, everywhere between 7 to 35, 40 credit cards, something like that, where you're still eligible to get a lot of welcome offers and have a lot of fun with those welcome offers at that. So I'm like, save the money and get 8 different $100 annual fee cards, and I guarantee you're going to have way more experiences than you would ever have with that one card, an $800 annual fee, guaranteed. I'm sorry to tell you, guaranteed. But that takes a little bit of effort. It takes a little bit of research. Where do I want to go? Do I want to go to Italy and fly Emirates in business class? Okay, what cards can I get now to get that amount of points to get there? And maybe that actually means getting a platinum card and get 175,000 points. I don't know. It depends on you, where you want to travel, and how you're going to get there. So it takes a little bit more strategy, but I think it's more potent personally. We'll see if I change my mind over time. Secondly, lounge access. Largely overrated for me. It's just me, okay? I can only speak from my own experience. For me, I'd rather get to the airport later, not have to rush, sleep in later. That's perfect for me. I'd rather not eat that food anyway, to be honest. Cool. I can supplement that in many other ways for free, mind you. And then statuses. You can get it on many, many of these other cards. In fact, the only one that I think is worth having is that IHG, fortnight free, platinum status, and Hilton Gold status. It's worth its weight in gold, and the Surpass welcome offer is infinitely valuable. And so I just feel like if you can replace all three of those things, then what is the point of having the high annual fee premium card in the first place? Because it's not like it really elevated your entire experience. At least I don't feel like it does in my life anymore, because I found alternatives for all of them. So in my mind, it's either you want to travel once per year and all those credits can dedicate towards one amazing trip, perfect. But as somebody who wants to travel more and more often over time, like I'm looking to do, I've ramped up highly in this year and next year as well. I really do think it makes sense to just get rid of the high annual fee cards and save that money for food while you're abroad, for more tours to experience the culture, pay for your taxes and fees on business class flights. I just feel like that money could be better spent in so many different ways than just holding you down on one high annual fee premium credit card. And again, I don't want to be super jaded towards these cards. I've loved them over the years. I just feel like since I've purged them and I've had annual fees in like the 200s, maybe 300 range, I felt such a weight off personally. And I just wanted to share that with you guys as well. So I hope that's beneficial. I hope that means something to you. And I hope it's not too controversial. But it's just my life right now, and I can only speak my experience at the moment. But if you want to see that entire trip where it kind of changed my entire life, this Greece vacation for an entire week with really low annual fee cards like the Surpass I talked about and the Delta card, like really low annual fee cards guarantee an amazing vacation, check out that video. I hope to see you there. Let me know what you think. And as always, I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you so much, and take care and keep traveling. Have fun and save some money. All right.